Alright, so the lore of Luigi's Mansion. And this is a series that's done by Luigi, who has to save his brother Mario for like, what, 3 times? 4 times? Well, either way, our story starts with Luigi's Mansion 1. And the original released on the GameCube, who back in the 2000s. So, who? Where does it all start? Well, Mario got an invitation into a mansion. Supposedly, he had said that he won it in a contest he never entered. So Mario went to the mansion to check it out, having a bit of suspicion. And later on, Luigi, he was wondering where his brother Mario went. And just as he was about to go out to look for him, he got a letter. This letter said that he won a mansion in a contest he never entered. Luigi, being gullible, followed the directions to the mansion. When he looked up, the mansion was not like what the picture said. Instead, it was a haunted mansion. Luigi, still being a bit gullible, decided to take a flashlight with him, and before he left, Clifton decided to explore the mansion. And, however, he almost got kidnapped by ghosts. But then he met Professor Egad, who tried to capture a ghost and failed miserably. Turns out, ghost catching in old age is not a good idea. I wonder if the Ghostbusters will learn that one in the new movie. They probably learned that lesson back during her first return to the series. Anyways, Egad took Luigi to his laboratory that was underground. He told Luigi that he saw his brother Mario enter the mansion, so he gave Luigi the Poltergust 3000, and then sent him off to go and rescue his brother. After fighting a ton of portrait ghosts, those who had more personality than any of the others, in Luigi's Mansion 3, he rescued his brother from King Boo, who had Egad build him a house, and decided to relax. As trying to tell his brother to stop accepting false invites, it's out of concern that he might get captured again. That aged like milk. Because Mario got himself kidnapped again, somehow. But Luigi, he was unaware of it. But during in a fateful night, Egad had contacted him. Why did he contact him? Well, let's check out what happened before the events of Luigi's Mansion 2, or otherwise known as Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, started. So during this time, and Professor Egad let's just say, he was just studying all the new ghosts. They seem to have a form of sentience, like they weren't rampaging like monsters. And they all seem pretty nice, including this one Polterpup. Which is interesting because these Polterpups are actually new to the series. This one specifically is a bit mischievous, if you catch my drift. So anyways, while Professor Egad was doing some research on the ghosts, something catastrophic happened. They all started going insane, tearing up books, throwing stuff around, causing absolute chaos. And yet, Professor Egad didn't know why. But, from what the game shows us, King Boo is the culprit. because he destroyed the Dark Moon and scattered its pieces across 5 different mansions. And the Gloomy Manor happened to have been the first location to get a Dark Moon piece. But it's not the first one that they've caught. While Professor Egad was fleeing to his lab, a piece of the Dark Moon crashed next to his laboratory. So he picked it up, got shocked in the process, and decided to come back to it with a pair of pliers just so he could get inside. Because supposedly, the dark impurities were causing a bit of chaos. He later learned to make his skin out of rubber so that way he couldn't get shocked by it. That's how he can explain how he holds the Dark Moon piece when he shows it to Luigi. Hey, that's at least my own head canon for it. But it might be pretty true considering how, well, this guy is old. How is he supposed to do a lot of stuff that a normal youngin can do? So, after he contacted Luigi, he decided to digitize him and pull him through his TV. He apparently knew a bit of technology that Luigi is still reluctant to use to this day. It's kind of shocking how Luigi always seems to have some unique sound effects because he literally does not like being digitized. And I thought digitization was supposed to be painless. Anyways, after Luigi was digitized and teleported to Egad's lab, Egad showed him the Dark Moon piece, told him that it wasn't really a good idea to touch it for too long. Then they cleaned it off, and it revealed the Gloomy Manor. While Luigi was exploring the Gloomy Manor, he remembered that Egad told him to find the Poltergeist as 5,000. So, while he was looking around for the Poltergeist, as he decided to look inside of a window, and saw that it was inside of a car. But one of the ghosts pulled out the strobe lights. Luigi had no idea what that green LED light was for, but he knew it had to be important for something. So he decided to find a random key that was being carried by a mouse. Just used it so that the key he ended up disappearing into the lock, which was actually kind of freaky to him. Then he opened the door, went to the garage, and got the Poltergeist 5000. And he decided to test it out on a little bit of trash. But then Professor Egad contacted him on a 3DS. That's because he originally contacted him on a Game Boy, which I'm pretty sure Luigi lost. So, on this 3DS, Egad told him that one of the ghosts made out with the strobe light, which would allow Luigi to catch these ghosts. And told Luigi to get it back. So, Luigi, he did what he could to get it back. And once he got it back, he flashed himself in the face for some reason. And this bibbling, bumbling buffoon. You don't just flash yourself with a light. Hey, you should flash one of those strobe light detectors. And while Luigi did that, after learning the lesson to not flash yourself with a strobe light. Hey, but then when some of the ghosts came out to try and give him a good night. Hey, aka a game over. But Luigi flashed him with the strobe light and then caught them flawlessly. And for some reason, these ghosts can also use objects as shields or even as weapons. And then Luigi knew what to do in these kinds of cases. Is you either gotta suck away their defenses or wait for them to open themselves up. Because apparently the other ghosts don't learn and some of the others end up getting caught doing the same mistake. I wonder if they have short-term memory loss. I wonder if they have short-term. Anyways, while he's traveling through the gloomy manor, he noticed that there were quite an abundance of spider webs, a bit too many for a haunted mansion. And because he recalled during his first adventure that there were not any spider webs that were in the way, which means this had to be the work of some of those evil spiders that he noticed crawling around. And while he was destroying spiders and collecting coins, and which surprisingly all the money here is actually real, well, just like in the first mansion. And Luigi wonders how could these places possibly produce so much money? And he forgot that he had to tell his brother that he was also a billionaire by this point. And he was even richer than one of the richest guys in our world. Well, which should say something about the economy in the Mushroom Kingdom. It makes you wonder why Luigi hasn't hired her guards for the princess. Anyways, while Luigi was searching around, he noticed that quite a lot of objects were disappearing. And he could see outlines of stuff that once was there but now isn't. Egad told him that it had to do with some weird balls of ghostly energy that were turning objects invisible. So he had to get at the new black light that Egad was developing back in his previous lab. So Luigi went there, or got the black light, and started uncovering these now vanishing in objects. Next, once Luigi he made his way towards the basement, a lot of business went down. And a giant spider was there, and if you didn't have arachnophobia then, well, you do now. And I'm pretty sure Luigi he has never seen spiders the same way ever again. And this spider wasn't like any of the red spiders. This one was a full-blown spider that didn't have any glows. But this was the evil doings of the poltergeists. These were creatures that had eaten in pieces of the dark moon and have grown too strong for their own capabilities of sanity. So, well, after tearing off two coats for the poltergeist, seriously, these guys shed their skins like snakes. Well, it makes sense because they're able to produce barriers so that way they don't get immediately flashed by Luigi. And they always slither off to what they were possessing before. Which, yes, by the way, these are the only ghosts in the entire Luigi's Mansion series, besides Beethoven, and well, the Beethoven mockery in Luigi's Mansion 3 to actually possess an object. But after her collecting the ghost and getting a piece of the Dark Moon, he watched all the spiders crawl off, and one of them decided to scare Luigi. For absolutely no reason. I guess it was feeling jerky. It was probably trying to mimic the dance Luigi was doing. After Luigi returned to the lab, he got the Dark Moon piece cleaned and then sent back to try and repair another piece of the Dark Moon. A new location unlocked, and Luigi he went on this adventure for 3 more times, and it's down to the final mansion. And during this time, he learned that the Toads were also kidnapped as well. And they were put into paintings just like Mario, but unlike the first time around, Luigi doesn't have a machine that can turn turn ghosts into paintings and paintings into people. Oh, he still recalls that memory of Mario getting his head stuck in a grate. Hey, that was very great for Mario. Oh, and great for Luigi's comedy. But he remembered that had he had the black light, which could uncover her stuff, and during his times adventuring, he discovered that it can also affect paintings and cause whatever's hidden in the painting to come to life. So he used it on the free Toads. Toads rescued them and had them sent to EGAD's lab for safety. Then Luigi went on to upgrade his Poltergust a few times using the money that he's acquired. He made it stronger, powerful, but made his black light last a lot longer, increased his strobe light's chargeability, and his ability to suck things up even better. That was an innuendo, wasn't it? Well, continuing on. Luigi, he eventually made it to the final mansion, after facing off against the growing ice boss, plus a living piano. Oh boy, is that one familiar. And surprisingly, I think he also faced off against one other boss. Oh yeah, he actually faced off against a giant frickin' knight. That's what happens when you give poltergeists the ability to clone themselves. Luigi still wonders how he was able to face off against all these creatures. But his adventure wasn't done. He actually recalled something about Boo's being around. King Boo probably wouldn't show himself unless his minions got captured. So he decided to search out for every single Boo. And once he captured them all, King Boo noticed that his minions were responding. And he decided to call Luigi up for one final match. And once he faced off against Luigi, he decided to use a different dimension to do it. A dimension he controlled. Well, he thought how he would be able to defeat Luigi inside this other dimension. But Luigi, who was good at running away, he managed to not just escape King Boo's grasp at 3 different times, but he also had to get Luigi. No, wait. Luigi had to suck up King Boo 3 different times. Turns out King Boo, who figured out a way to not get caught by the poltergust, because he had his crown unclog up the poltergust so that way he could escape. But during the final one, Luigi figured out a way to capture the king. He just had to turn his poltergust into maximum overdrive during the last time he was going to catch King Boo. And then he caught him. King Boo's crown gem popped out of the poltergust, and Luigi collected it. He knew he could sell it for a lot of money. And once he returned back, he freed Mario, who got called a superstar by him. And then he went on to take a picture of everyone, and including the Polter Pup. But wait, how did they do this? Well, they repaired the Dark Moon so that way all the ghosts were freed of her mindless behavior. Or the Dark Lands, as I'm going to call them, hasn't been a happier place since. It's been loads happier. After taking a picture, Luigi reminisced about this adventure. Supposedly telling us